industry leaders. And third, seriously, so I've just been checking. So good afternoon once again. The recording just started. My name is Jumoke, Oyelese, lead formulator for Hafi Organics. I'm a graduate of accounting from the Obafemi Awolowo University. And today we are anchoring a program by Save a Nation, Save a Child, Save a Nation, a non-profit social enterprise focused on nation building. So today we are interviewing two formidable women, and our segment is the business and finance segment. So we're going to start with Mrs. Ameze Osague-Iduh. Ms. Ameze, good afternoon. Are you there?
Good afternoon, Jumoke. I'm here.
Good. So please give us like a short summary and interview, a short summary about yourself and what you do. Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Ameze Osague-Iduh. And I'm glad. Thank you for the opportunity to serve and to make impact. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. Okay, so a little bit about myself. So I went to secondary school with the convener and our able panel host, and that was Nigerian Navy Secondary School. And I went on to university to study law. After I studied law at undergraduate level, I went to the Nigerian Law School, and thereafter I did a master's not thereafter, about a couple of years later, I think I finished my master's in 2010, and I graduated from law school in 2004. So I had a master's in international business law, but I started working from a law firm, and that was in about 2004. Of course, while I was younger in undergraduate school, when I was in university, I used to go and work in law firms because I knew that I wanted to be a lawyer. So when I worked in the law firm for about 2 years, I just felt like I needed to do more. I realized that I had consistently had a passion for creating alignment between employee and management. There always seemed to be this disconnect, management complaining that employees don't get it, employee feeling that management don't understand. And for some strange reason, even as an associate, I just always saw the business side. Like, if you were the one paying the salaries, how would you feel about the value you're getting in return? And so I had a craving for, I want to do something maybe in human resources. That's what I thought, because I was concerned about people. And then I got an opportunity to work in an investment bank to do legal, HR, and trust. So there was still the legal aspect to my work. And then there was the trust business that I was working with the boss. And then there was the human capital, and there was one unit. And this happened in 2007, December. In 2010, there was a clamor in that office for an investment bank for human capital to be independent. And so they spun off at a retreat. I was present at the retreat, and the MD just said, should we spin off HR and let Ameze go and head it? And that's how I became the head of human resources from 2010 to 2020. Of course, because I was doing it, I decided that, to get, even though you've been doing it, work experience is very important in developed countries. But in Nigeria, that certification is very important. So just to validate the experience that you've been having, I decided to do the CIPM. And I went through the professional route. Thankfully, I could do that. And I am also an associate of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management. So in 2020, just in the not in the middle, round about that time when COVID hit, just before it hit, I just realized that I had plateaued. I was the head of human resources where I was. I'd done that for 10 years, and it was a company that had a staff strength of maybe 70 something. And I just felt, I could be and do more. And so I was seeking other opportunities. And then I got an opportunity to head people, to the HR team lead for a logistics company, Kobo 360. I was there for about 2 months. I just felt like where I was at the time is not where this company was. So I had a meeting with the co-founders to say, whilst I appreciate what you're trying to do here, this is not my thing. And I think I'm old enough not to just work for the money, but work where I can deploy my passion and have the same, sort of value system and, vision with the company. Shortly after that, I got an opportunity to work with Ink Digital to be the executive head of human capital, and I've been doing that ever since. So I hope that's a summary.
Oh, thank you very much. So, can you say your personality right from when you were a young child? You're a people person, you're very friendly, you're very warm. Do you think it's prepared you for this role?
Yes, I would say that. I think from when I was a child, people always said, you talk a lot, you'll be a lawyer. Or even though now as you get older, you just don't even have energy to talk. I mean, then Jumoke probably used to say that behind my back and in front of me. But you know, as you get older, even though you can talk, you listen more. And so the fact that I love people and I've always been a people person did prepare me to be concerned about people fulfilling their potential and being happy at work. And because in law, you are taught that a company is a person, I also wanted the company to be happy. So that's where I felt like I need to be able to bridge this gap. I found myself always explaining what management was doing, always explaining to management, oh, this is how the staff feels. So I think, yes, to answer your question, the fact that I'm a people person made me believe that, oh, you can do this because you genuinely love people, people being the staff and the company. So I love the company, the person that is the company, and I love staff. And I believe that we have a good situation when there is goal congruence. When the staff is happy, the company is happy. So everybody, all the people involved in that contract are happy. So yes, my temperament, who I am as a child and as a person, I think sort of pushed me to where I am now.
Thank you very much for that. So what would you advise our younger teenagers watching this, the subjects to focus on for them to be able to get to this role that you're in?
Okay, so what I always tell young people is that you can be anything you want to be. That's the truth. I believe, and I'm not saying it as a motivational speaker. No, I'm saying it because when we were reading law, we were not thinking about human resources. That's the truth. So it just so happened that it's good that you have the knowledge of the law, contracts, employment law. That's good. So first of all, you can be anything you want to be. That's the first thing. And that's what I always want to leave with young people. You can be anything you want to be. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Don't let anybody talk you down into being that. So if from the get-go, you know that you want to, there are courses that will help you. So for instance, I believe English language is one of them, just at least to get into the university, because most of the job descriptions that will say communication skills. So it will be very good if you have good communication skills. You can speak well, you can communicate well verbally and written communication. Even your non-verbal communication is very important. Your body language, like the way I'm talking to you now, you can know whether I'm passionate about what I'm saying or whether I'm just like, let me do this thing so that for me and Jumoke will not be upset with me. I mean, you know,
Exactly.
do you understand? So everything about you, your communication, your English language is very important. So in SSC, for instance, you should pass your English. I think some schools now offer human resource management, and in business administration, it's actually a course there, but I read law. You understand? And I've seen people that read computer science. I interviewed a lady last week, you know, for a role here, and she read computer science. She's Oracle certified, but she likes people and she's doing everything she's doing to channel it towards, because I asked her, Oracle, computer science, human capital, what are you doing here? And she says, you know, with Oracle, it helped her to mine data. It helped her to understand how to mine data and use data to make decisions. So you're making data-driven decisions. Do you understand? So that's why I started by saying you can be anything. So while it's good to know your English, to know your literature, to know your government, because I know I did SSC, and those are the courses that they would typically say you must pass before you get into this. But I'm saying, even in the course of your life's journey, if you started with engineering or computer science and you find that I really think I want to do this, this is the aspect of human resources I want to do, I think I can even introduce this aspect. Nobody's stopping you. Sometimes I tell people you don't need to follow the trail. Create your own trail and drive your journey. There are people, before people started doing data, mining data, all we're doing was carrying the paper, pushing the file, doing human resources. But now people are saying you can collect data, and from the data, see or understand behavior. You can see that people behave like this at a certain age, people behave like this at a certain age, at a certain time in their lives. Use that data analytics to make decisions. That wasn't there when we first started. So you can read anything, but if you're saying that, okay, right off the bat, I know I want to be a human capital professional, I want to be a lawyer, I know that SSC will ask you for your English, your literature, your government. I think I had all my papers, I think, but what was very core to read law at the time was English, literature, government, I think economics. I'm trying to remember the one that I had is. I had CRK, and all of that. Those were the courses I needed to put together. But I must say that even if you read engineering, you read medicine, if you decide that your passion seems to be driving you in this direction, you will see that reading medicine will help you know how to do psychoanalyze people because of the psychiatry part of it. Everything can work together for you to achieve anything you want to be. I think that's what I would say.
Yes, you're very, very correct in that aspect. That for some people, when they started in their university journey, they probably did a course they didn't want to do, they were forced to do, or they were just entered university. But like you said, that once you leave university, now discover your passion. You now decide, okay, what professional course can I do? And you said you did a CIPM, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, coupled with your natural temperament. So it was a good fit for you. So what would you tell our young teenagers watching our interview right now? What curricular activities should they go into? I remember in Navy then, we had debated literary and debating. Were
Yes.
you a member?
So
good.
Incidentally, in Navy, I didn't do debate. I did a bit of drama. I did music club. Okay. But in primary school, we used to have something called Speak Out. So Speak Out was a debating platform. So I was on Speak Out. Because people felt like you had a flair to argue. And then I used to debate. Good afternoon, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, my fellow debaters, I'm here to convince you and not confuse you, all of those things, But I knew that in primary school, I was in Speak Out. And then I did drama. In Navy, I was in drama, I was in music club, I was in Bible club, and I was actively propagating what I believe. So when I was in Bible club, I used to stand on the pulpit and preach on the stage, doing assembly, preach and pray. Then in music club, I was the president of music club. I used to sing and organize that. And then when there was an opportunity to act, I would act, but I made sure that I sort of had a full life. I made sure that I wasn't just reading so that I don't feel like, oh, I missed out on it. No, everything within the confines of what was moralistic and proper. I made sure that I was reading, I was playing, I was, involved in clubs. So if you have a club like a debaters club, please join that club. If you have music club gives you confidence because you need to sing or act or drama in front of a lot of people.
In front of a crowd.
Exactly. And so to read law or to be a human capital professional, you need to be able to engage with people, look them in the eye and not be afraid, look them in the eye and be compassionate. All those things you learn, from drama, music, literature, even Bible club, all of those things. So yes, that's what I would advise. Yes.
Yeah, I know that for some of us, we're not as extroverted as you are, but yet we still have that passion or the desire to be in HR. What would you advise people that are naturally shy, fearful, and lack confidence in themselves, and who want to be a people person, who want to go into a career that involves them having to talk to people, communicate to people, that despite your shortcomings in quotes, you can still do it? What would you advise such people?
Okay, so the first thing is fantastic. They already have a desire. And that's the first thing. And like I said at the beginning, you can be anything. So what do? You can be anything. It's not just in mouth. I know that I want to be this. So what steps do I take to begin to do it? You attend trainings, attend seminars like this. Ask Jumoke or Fumi, can I moderate with you? Because you're trying to test, this thing I've been learning. When I was younger, I remember we had an English teacher, Miss Olisa, and we did oral English once. And she told us to come and speak in the class. So I used to watch television, and I knew that I needed to be able to speak very well. So when I listened to the people, most times it was British drama, I would repeat what they were saying, the way they were saying it, because I knew that one day Jumoke or Fumi will call me to come and speak. And I need to be able to speak right. And people don't leave there saying, see, she's so much tabon. What was she saying? Her tenses were wrong. And so when we did oral English in class, I remember my classmates were laughing. They told us to come and read. She's speaking funny. And teacher said, be laughing at her. This is what she's supposed to be doing, and you are laughing. But I had done that at home. So I would watch things, for instance, that would better my speaking. that I would read things that would help me understand that when somebody raises their hand, you pause. When somebody is talking, you are quiet. I read things about listening because people that are not even extroverted are very good human capital people. Because people like me that are extroverted, I always have something to say. So I want to finish your tenses for you. I had to learn to hear. Listening is a skill. So I had to read about it and practice it. And then I would say, I would let you feel. And when you're done, I'll say, are you done? Are you finished? Are you sure? And then I practice writing down so I don't forget. Many times, the reason why people jump in is because they don't want to forget what they're saying. But listening is as important as speaking. So attend those kind of trainings. Don't just say, I can be anything I can be, and you don't take any step towards being that thing. As I am now, I've done my ACIPM, I did my master's. My husband is still on me to do another certification in HR just to sharpen my skills because nobody's perfect. So I think an introverted person, once you have the desire, your listening skills is already, because people that are introverted are perfect listeners because they have the time to listen to you, grasp what you're saying. So I think that's great. Then you may just need to build on your confidence, practice with your family. But the best place to fail is in front of friends and family. So practice with them, make your mistakes there, let them yap you. You know where you're going to. So don't ever fail. And I'm a Christian, and I believe that the righteous person falls 7 times. What makes him righteous is not that he fell, is that he's able to get up. So when you make it's just that we dramatize failure so much in this part of the world. Failure is an opportunity to do it again and do it well. So it is not a bad thing in itself. It's if you stay down saying, I can't do this. In fact, I'm done. Because it is only courageous people that are able to keep doing something even when you're failing at it. So you keep trying, you just keep trying, and then you realize that one day somebody will give you the opportunity. The same way I became head of human capital. And, people were complaining, we want an independent HR. And of course, the MD and everybody knew that, I was the person that, the next thing just said, let's spin it up there, Ameze go and head it. That was opportunity, meeting, life's preparation. That's the truth. So I think you need to be prepared. Read books. I mean, I never read the book because it didn't seem like a dummy book, HR for Dummies. But when my friends said, Ameze, it doesn't look like something a dummy can understand. But my point being, if you want to develop in a particular area, read books about it, watch things about it. I learned once from a client that if you're going to see a client, you need to look like the client is important. You can say, I don't wear makeup, I don't do this. No, to show that person that you consider like today, I had to think about what should I wear? How should I look? I want these young people to appreciate where I'm at and know they can be this and be relatable. So reading books or listening to seminars would prepare you. So you say you want to be a public speaker, you want to be a human capital professional. How many books have you read? How many certifications are you trying to do? How many seminars have you attended or listened to get you to the place you want to go to? So I think that would be my word of encouragement. But the desire is the first step, and you already have that.
Okay, so for young teenagers a couple of weeks ago, we're in Navy Secondary School to do like a career fair for these young ones. And sometimes you wonder if kids in government schools are as opportune as kids in elitist schools. You spoke about reading, you spoke about attending seminars. For young ones from age 12 to like 16, they might not have the opportunity to attend those seminars, but definitely they can use Google. There are books they can read and download for free. And what other thing can they do to develop themselves? You mentioned being a member of the Bible Club, Bible Society. It's actually very good because you're amongst family. So you can definitely make mistakes. I remember when I was younger, I had to do this memory recital of 1 Corinthians 13. Being a shy person, I had to cram 16 verses of 1 Corinthians 13, say it in front of everybody and not look at anybody. Of course, that someone now decide to make you laugh. How do you think kids from not so privileged schools can better themselves and make themselves as opportune as people from elitist schools who have all the resources in this world to make them go ahead in using things?
Okay, so Jumoke, Navy, when we went to Navy, it was a military role. So I can say it was a good school, but it wasn't very elitist. You remember, it wasn't Adesoye College, yes. It wasn't Christland, it wasn't Atlantic Hall. Exactly. Bell. Thank you. It was Nigerian Navy. But what I did was take advantage of, first, the Navy itself. We had career week in Navy. I attended. Don't not attend. That's the truth. You attend the one that the not so elitist school can provide first. Then my mother used to say she doesn't understand how all her children were close to rich men's children. It wasn't deliberate. We had a lot of love at home, so we're confident in ourselves. And our home was very well. Almost all our friends lived in duplexes. Our house was a bungalow, but somehow it was our house they used to come to. So we had friends that used to go for summer when we didn't used to go for summer. So when they're going for summer, whatever they bring back, I mean, if it's a book, you read the book with them. Do you understand? And then almost everybody, elitists or not elitists, they have access to Google. Even now, as an older person, doing my human capital work, Google is my best friend. You know the way they say police is your friend? Google is your friend. Not to watch porn, not to watch gossip. You know, even Instagram. I want to learn how to cook a meal. You learn it from Instagram. I want to learn how to write a letter and write it well. Go to YouTube, go to Google. Those things have helped. And your association, that's what I would tell the young people. Your friends, I cannot overemphasize it. You know, there's a saying, show me your friends and I will show you your destiny. It's very true. Because the way I realized, because I gave my life to Christ when I was in SS1. And I used to say then, so I changed my circle of friends from who they were to Tinuke Onifade. Now, Tinuke was very serious. She used to go to class to read. So I didn't have a choice. She was my new friend in my newfound faith and love of Christ. So I would have to go to class with her. We know that we cannot cheat because this is who we now are, Christians. So I had to study. So your friends, and then those circle of friends, Tinuke became my really close friend, Ebele Rebisi became my really close friend, Omalayo became my really close friend, you know, Shola Taiwo, you know, so we had that friendship and all of us had to read because we knew that we will not copy. We are not going to ask anybody in the exam hall. So I cannot be saying they're my friends and they're going to read and I'm not going to read. We used to play, we used to gist, but when it was time to read, I would follow. So and they would, now after a while, even what you don't know that even leaders follow. So I looked like a natural leader, especially when I wasn't born again and I was growing. But when I met people that I wanted to be like, I followed their lead. So your friends, your association, very, very important. I remember once I was going to have my bath and I left a note on my table going to the bathroom. Okay, I can imagine how we used to have a bath in Navy. But I left a note on my desk. And then Oyetola was in my room then and she said, I can't wait to see how you are when you grow up. Because this leaving a note, I can't wait to see you as a mature person. And now, even when I'm going somewhere, I leave a note. But already, I must have watched something related with a certain ilk of people. Imagine that Oyintola said, what's wrong with you? Where are you going to? I would think leaving a note is a bad thing. But that friend of mine admired that attribute. That made me want to do. So your friendships, your association, oh God, so important. So important. I cannot tell young people enough. If you see somebody now that behaves as if life is not important, chances are, if nobody stops that person in his or her tracks, that person will carry it to their future. So work with people that seem like they're the eficos. Sometimes they seem boring. I wasn't boring, but sometimes they seem boring, but they know where they are going to. They have right influences. Your influence is so important. Jumoke, I cannot overemphasize, and thank you for this question. It is so important. Your friends, your association will determine a lot. When you get older, you'll remember that we said this to you. Even when you get older, there are friends you have to drop because they can feel intimidated because you've achieved something. And talking about it because you are grateful and you're thankful to God may look like you're trying to oppress. So even then, you may need to drop some friends. Not because you don't like them, but because where you have gotten to, they don't appreciate it. They think you are showing off. Meanwhile, you may even be voicing your fears genuinely. I can be telling somebody I'm doing everything I do. I'm doing it afraid. And the person is doing Yimu. Yeah, right. She's working. She's like, madam, she's saying she's afraid. Yes. So I know that it's time to work with someone that can identify with that. So choose your friends very wisely. Choose your friends, choose your hangouts, choose your association. That's another thing. So if you work with people that money is not a big deal, or people whose parents value honest work. Because you know that, Jumoke, you may not know this, but when we were in secondary, somebody told me that they are going to do 419. We were in secondary school. 419 I just started then. But the person said that to me, and I just thought to myself, if in secondary school, someone's already thinking, I want to blow. But if you surround yourself with someone that, if you say 419, they can look at you and say, what are you saying? That can call you back to your senses. Chances are you won't make brave mistakes. So your association is very important. So don't ever think anybody is too big, they're too rich, they're too this, they won't talk to me. No, if you have something to offer, they will talk to you. So your association, so a lot of things that I have now, I saw experience in other people's lives before I started tasting it. I saw my friends travel before I started traveling. So traveling was never far. I knew that I would travel one day. It's just a matter of time. So your association is very key.
Very, very key. And I remember that despite the fact that you became born again, your old friends didn't totally jettison association with them. And even till date, you guys are still in touch. So as a teenager, you're supposed to seek a balance. You understand? So yes, you might be there in their life to point them out, to point the right way to go. You understand?
Exactly.
So don't, I mean, remember when we were younger, we became Christian and we were like, you should do away with the world, don't have anything to do with the world. But remember that we are still in this world. So you should find a balance. Yes, like you said, when you have good influences, godly influences, it's not as if it's to shame you, but it's to make you retrace your steps and say, oh, I think this is the right way to go. So Ameze, what would you advise parents of teenagers, caretakers, as per the role, the profession they want to go into? What would you advise parents to do? Because sometimes our parents can either be too tired or be too involved in other things in their lives to actually give you that one-on-one attention. And sometimes even parents can say your own is too much. You understand? And that kind of kills the confidence in any child. Most people, I know when I read on social media, both foreign and local, and there are people telling you that, oh, my parents killed my enthusiasm for this, my parents killed my self-esteem. So what do you think parents should do not to kill that child's self-esteem and encourage the child in the career path he or she wants to go into?
Thank you. And thank you for reminding me of the balance, because I hope I did not sound like, oh, I abandoned my old friends. No, Jumoke knows they're still my friends. But in the direction I was going, I knew that I needed this set of new friends. So thank you for that, Jumoke. So for parents, you need to understand that nobody's judging you. We're all doing this for the first time. We've not done the rehearsal before. So as we're doing it for the first time. So don't feel judged. Don't give into what my pastor calls the pesky demon of guilt, because that's what it does. Try to make you feel you're not doing as good as another parent. I think that the first thing I would advise is to listen to your child. The Bible says, train up a child in the way that he should grow. And the original translation is according to his natural bent. So don't say that, oh, my friends' children, they're all being doctors. You go and read medicine. People I know that are successful, they are read engineering. Go and read engineering. No. Look at your child and say, this is my child. I think that this place, and then you show your child so you can guide. And that the child can come to that realization themselves. The second thing is delegate. You may feel overwhelmed because you're also trying to be there for your child. So whilst I encourage you, listen to your child, be there for your child, I also know that you cannot be there 100%. So you need to delegate. But the thing about delegation is not abdication. You're not abandoning that responsibility. You are delegating it. And delegation also means that you will come back to check, but it will not take as much time as doing it yourself the first time. So for instance, I have a teacher that teaches my kids after school. And what I do, I go for I check what they've done, maybe once a quarter. Once a month, I may be exaggerating, but once a quarter. And then when there's a parent-teacher conference, I go personally, things like that. But I have delegated some things that I can. There are things you cannot delegate in terms of raising your child. There's some things that you cannot delegate, but there are things that you can delegate so that you are not overwhelmed. If I don't know math, I better delegate teaching maths and not say I want to be the right mother. I must teach the maths. Your child will just fail. So I think that what you can delegate. I think that you should listen to your child and observe. That's what that scripture tells you to do. Observe your child. What does this child like to do? Don't say you're too quiet. I wish you were bold. See, Ameze, she's bold. No. You will say, this my child is quiet. What can my child be? My child can be a counselor. She can be a listener. My child can be a doctor because she's calm. My child can be an engineer because that calmness gives precision. Oh, don't say you are too loud. You talk too much. Oh, my child can be a lawyer. My child can be an activist. My child, you think, so observe your child and see what they can be. Listen to them and encourage them according to their natural bend. That's what you're supposed to do. Not impose. Look at them. Observe, listen, delegate, and most importantly, pray. Because the children, they are really gods. We are custodians. So you need to pray because we need help, especially in the generation that we are in. We need to pray. And I'm not saying this to anybody. I don't believe doing anything from a place of fear. No, a place of faith. Just know that evil is far from you and far from your own child, and pray and say to God, God, this child is your own. I'm only a custodian. So please teach me and send people that will help me. So pray and pray instructive prayers. Ask for help. Ask God to send you help. Ask God to help you to be discerning, to discern the child, to discern the help, to discern what you should do. That's what I would advise parents.
You know that for most of us in Nigeria, we find reading a bit difficult. Because most parents, I understand that sometimes they want to be the best parent they can be in encouraging their kids to in their career. And like you rightly said, don't compare your child. Even the child himself or herself should not compare himself or herself to someone else, because our destinies are different. Our personalities are different. Our characters are different. Do you think that there are enough resources for Nigerian parents to harness, to be able to be a good, to guide their children along the career path they want to be?
Okay, yes. So let me address the reading part. I hate reading now, and I think let me not hate this strong, but I dislike reading. And I think because I studied law, I've always seen reading as work. So I do not like reading. If I had known, and so I learned in other ways. I like to watch movies, but if you look at the kind of movies I watch, I learned how to speak proper English by watching Downton Abbey. So that once I went out with my husband and his schoolmate, and his schoolmate was asking him if I ever lived in England. Just my husband said she has never lived in England. But that was how well I was able. And he said to me, you have a British upper class accent. That's what he said to me. So you don't have to learn from books. Books are marvelous, and there are also audiobooks, very interesting. So when somebody will have something to teach you, and there are audiobooks that are free, the downloadable ones. Listen to those books. I don't like reading, but at least this will be like music, or it will be like a book, and it will be like a movie. And then watch good things under the guidance of your parents, and parents too. If you know that there's something that your kids can learn from, by all means, watch it with them, because not everybody likes reading. I had to read because I read law, and I had to read law because everybody said I was a bit of a talker. So, so I said, okay, maybe I should do this. And it was interesting, so I've always associated reading with work, and it has to be right and detailed and not missing anything. So I can't read books the way people read and just say they jumped. I can't jump, because as a lawyer, the next line must be important. Some people that say they jumped a lot of pages. I can't do that. In fact, if I jump it, I will go back thinking, because for me, reading is work. Every line is important. And I took that into watching movies. I always feel like every word, this thing that they said, I may need to go back to see, because it will follow. So I think that parents should avail themselves of audiobooks. And my mom did something once. She told me that, Ameze, read this book, we'll discuss it. So that made it interesting. So I read the book, and then she said, okay, tell me about the book. And then we discussed it. That's also very interesting. And then read to your kids. You may say you don't have the time, but when you're tired, before they go to bed, if you can, go and say, okay, I want to read this book to you. They'll be excited. And you say, but you must sleep after I read the book to you. And then after you can say, okay, read this book and come and tell me about it. And they'll be excited about that. And then tell them about audiobooks, guide them on what you think they should read, guide them in watching movies that will teach them. I remember once my boss, when one of the politicians escaped from a foreign country, and even though he had an ankle monitor, the boss I was working for when that thing happened said, they said there was something on his leg. And I was like, oh, that's an ankle monitor. I knew that from the movies, not from a book. But my boss didn't know what it was. But movies had exposed me to what I couldn't have had access to,
good movies
here. So when I traveled for the first time, it was seeing what I had seen so many times in my movie world. So it wasn't foreign for me. So yeah, I would say guide them with audio books, let them watch movies that can teach them, yeah. So that would be my advice. And read to them and read with them. Yes.
Read them with them. You're very correct. And when you read with them, you read with them, it creates a bond. And it also creates memories for them. So parents out there, please, even if you don't like reading, for your kids' sake, you should start reading. So, and like Ameze said, you read books that, they tell a tale, they edify, they tell you how to be upright, how to be good. Like the Bible says that whatever you focus on, let it be something that will edify you. So you mentioned soft skills earlier on, but can you mention to our teenagers and to our viewers, what soft skills you think is helping you in your role right now, and how those soft skills have helped you, and when you started building up on those soft skills?
Okay, so soft skill, one of them is communication. Because you talk a lot, I also learned that you can talk a lot of rubbish if you're not careful. But I realized that it's garbage in, garbage out. So whatever you take in, that is what you will eventually give out. So I made sure I was taking in a lot because I was talking. So I had to develop that. How do you say this? How do you not sound so aggressive? How do you make sure that you are conveying the right tone in your speaking? And under communication, there's also listening. I said that earlier. The ability to listen is a skill. I learned when I was reading about it that, when you are listening with a view to providing an accurate answer, you have not listened properly. You listen first and then develop the answer thereafter. If the person is talking and you are trying to think of how to answer the person, chances are you have not heard the person. So I read that talking about barriers to listening, one of the barriers to listening is apart from preconceived notions, is developing an answer while the person is still talking. So I had to work on my listening skills. I also had to work on taking feedback. Not everybody likes feedback, especially if the feedback is not good. But I saw a book once.
Yes.
Feedback is a gift. The truth is, feedback will make you better. And you must know that it's not palatable. It's not always palatable when somebody tells you something you're not getting right, especially when you have made effort. But you need to take it like the gift that it is. That's a soft skill, taking feedback. You need to take it and see it as a gift and appreciate the person. Sometimes the person may be nasty, the person may not have developed themselves in a way that they can give you feedback. Another thing is not being part of people, not being a complainer. Don't complain. You find that complainers always find themselves together. I don't know whether you've noticed, Jumoke, people that complain are unhappy about situations.
Yes.
They're saying that misery likes company. So they always find themselves together. Rather, when you notice a situation, think about a solution and prefer that solution. If where you are, they are not welcome to the solution, please just start making your plans to leave, and then of course a way to communicate your solution, that skill in itself. Not communicating as if everybody else is bad and you're good. No, communicating as if this is a great thing you're doing here, but I think I found a way that we can make it better. That's a skill. So you must never be among the complainers, the whiners, the gossip mill. That must not be you. You must be the person that when they come to, they know that, they will get the truth from you. Albeit kind, you must be kind. Sometimes you think you have feedback and you say it like it is. No. Serving a dish is sweetest when it is nicely presented. So if I give you your best meal and I serve it on a dustbin cover, it doesn't matter if it's your best meal. How it was served will not make me appreciate the gift that it is. I mean, I think those are the things that have helped me. I have wrestled with, has been difficult. It's not easy to take feedback, especially that one. But, it has made me better. It has made me a much better person. Yes. Listening has made me a much better person. Speaking and learning how to speak the way I should speak has made me a much better person. Yes.
So please, your word of advice to encourage our young viewers and the caregivers and their parents on this field of this professional path you are on. What would you tell any young person who's out there wondering and grasping for ideas and a way out of confusion, please?
Okay, so for the parents, I would just say observe your kids and work with them. Don't be impatient. don't compare them to anybody, because you're not in people's homes. You don't know what's going on. Please don't compare your children to anybody. Just observe your child and channel their talents appropriately. And when they tell you they want to read data science, don't say, what's that? You're not a doctor, engineer, accountant, please. Just, you yourself do your research. What can this person become? Who can this person be if they read this? And that's for the parents. For the kids, I want you to know that you can be anybody you want to be. Never sell yourself short. Never sell yourself short. Never look down on yourself. Always want to be better. Always want to improve. Yes. Don't be, and choose your friends wisely, because your friends will determine to a large extent how far you will go. Choose your friends wisely. You don't have to be with the most popular kids. And don't compare. Even I'm telling your parents want to compare you. Don't compare yourself to anybody. You can admire something in someone. I talked about my friends that I started being with. You can admire. Very good to admire. But don't say, I wish I was like this person. No. Be who you are, but steadily be improving. And have a list of things you want to improve on. And have accountability partners. Oh, a good friend that can tell you, oh, you said you wanted to do this. Have you done it? Oh, you are doing it now, So for the young people, please choose your friends wisely, have accountability partners, never look down yourself, never compare yourself to anybody, and you can be anybody that you want to be. Thank you.
That's very, very key. Thank you so much, Ameze. Really enjoyed this time with you. Is there anyone who has questions for Ameze before we go to the next person we're going to interview? Fumi. Hello. Is there anyone that has any questions for us? Oh, really? Okay. Let me see the person. Okay. Biodu. Okay. All right. I think we have to leave. Let me see how this works. No question. Anyone? No chat. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Please type it. Mary Samuel, type your question, please. Yes. Let me read that question down. Type it out. Mary Samuel, we're expecting your question, please.
Thank you, Jumoke, for the lady that said she enjoyed the session. Jumoke Amo.
Yes. Mary Samuel, okay. Thank you. My namesake, thank you very much. Mary Samuel, we're still expecting your question, so we can go to the next participant. Okay. Amanda, can you read that question?
Ma, you let me read it. I'll read it. It said, Ma, you said you don't like reading, but you watch movies. But if you don't any of such, what else can you do? Okay, so I don't like reading, doesn't mean I don't read. So yes, you need to read.
Very clear.
You don't like watching movies. I talked about audiobooks. So when you say the fact that you don't like something doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. It's not an excuse. Sometimes you don't feel like coming to work. It's not, but you do it, So you may not like something, but not liking something is not an excuse not to do it. But you can still do it, but look for other ways. So I'm going to focus on, first of all, I don't like reading, but I have to read, so I read. But not as much as people that like to read, like the Jumokes. Then look for audiobooks. Look for audiobooks, download them, or look for a book that everybody's telling you to read and find out if it has an audio version. Then your friends also help. Yes. If you have a book club, for instance, what happens in a book club is sometimes you don't have to read all the chapters. They choose different chapters and they now discuss the chapter. So guess what? You get the benefit of every other person reading other chapters and explaining it to you. You read maybe just one chapter and explain. So that's another avenue. Joining a book club, where it happened to me incidentally in church. They gave me a chapter to read. I went on Google to go and look for the chapter and summary and all of that. And when I summarized, they were saying, oh, this is so wonderful. I said, people cannot set me up. So the fact that you don't like to do something is not an excuse to do. So please develop the strength and the capacity. And when you say you don't like reading, don't go and start with a very, very heavy. I was looking for a book that my husband gave me to read, The Hard Thing About the Hard Things. Don't start with a big book. No. You start with a small book that is interesting, that will sustain your interest. Read a book like Spirit Control Temperaments. Get that book and then read it. And, it's very interesting. Read interesting things and start small. That's the way to start liking reading. Start small and build your appetite from there. Then audiobooks, then movies. Start from things that are interesting. What do you like? If, for instance, you like eating, start by watching things about a cooking channel to just stimulate your interest. Stimulate your interest in one. And then there's also people also have book or movie clubs where they discuss and critique, not necessarily criticize in a bad way, but critique a movie or a book. Read those kind of things to help maybe stir your desire or your motivation to read or to do it. So, I mean, those are ways you can do, but I'm not saying that don't do things because you don't like them. No, there are things you have to do, whether you like it or not. You need to get to work early. You have to wake up early, whether you are an early riser or not. You can't say, I'm not a morning person, so I won't go to work. They will sack you. So it's not everything that you like to do that you do. Do some things because you have to do it. And that's the difference.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ameze. It was really, really interesting talking with you. So no more questions. We're going to go to the next person, Mrs. Bukola Ishola. All right. Have a nice day. Are you going to be on this thing or you're leaving?
Okay. I will stay. I will stay for as long as I can, and then I will leave if I have to drop out. I want to hear Mrs. Ishola speak as well. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Mrs. Ishola, you're on. Good afternoon, Mrs. Ishola.
Yes, good afternoon.
Mrs. Ishola. How are you?
I'm fine.
Okay, good. Sorry, I think we took a bit of time, but we are back to you now. So can you give us like a broad view or summary of who you are, where you're coming from, and your profession, please? Thank you, madam.
Okay, thank you once again for having me. I'm Bukola Ishola. Today I'm a chartered secretary, but that's not where I started from. Hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
We can, I can.
Okay.
Loud and clear, madam.
Okay, so I read accounting for my first degree from University of Solarin, and thereafter I worked as a customer service officer for I think about 2 years. From there I moved on to what's it called now? Okay, let me just use the word. I sold insurance, for about 10 years. Then somewhere along the line, I worked with a relative. Since I read accounting, I did some accounting work for her. And then when their annual report was supposed to be signed, they said they needed a company secretary to sign, and she just said I should sign. Well, I was surprised I get company secretary. I've never really, thought about what it was or what it was and all of that. So I just became curious, and I decided to find out who the company secretary was. So I found out that Nigeria, that you could write, but that then he was the one in the UK, the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators. But later, I think in 2011, if I'm correct, the Institute in Nigeria, Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, started the Nigerian diet of their own professional exams. And so I wrote that exam at that point in time, and since then I qualified, and I started my practice as a chartered secretary. So basically, let me just explain what it means to be a chartered secretary. So a chartered secretary.
I was going to ask you next.
Okay. A chartered secretary is a governance professional who does things basically for the board. That every company, functional and especially well-run companies, have boards. So the company secretary's role is supposed to help the board function, basically. So the company secretary is like a staff of the board, quote unquote. And then you work with different members of the board. And of course, depending on how large your company is, you also work with other staffers. But your first and core assignment is to the board. So you do things around getting or setting up a meeting, whether it's a board meeting, a board committee meeting, you inform, you get approvals, depending on how large your company is. This is a company that is regulated, like probably quoted, whether in stock exchange or it's just a public limited company. You get approvals from regulatory bodies. So you are always working with regulators like FIRS, CAC, Securities and Exchange Commission. And then even with the board, you advise them, you train them, especially new ones. You pass communication around, between the board and even sometimes between the board and other people, whether staff or people who are even outside of the company. You also represent the board or the company on various levels, at a senior level. And then that is where you are the company secretary. There are other things that a chartered secretary can do, even if you are not a company secretary, in corporate communications department, in compliance and risk, in depending on how large the organization is, in things on enterprise risk management, on climate change. So it's broad. And then maybe I should also mention that to be a chartered secretary is more of a lawyer's course. Let me use that word. Being a chartered secretary is around the commercial law side of law. So law has different departments. So being a chartered secretary is like you're a specialty in commercial law, except that you don't go to court. So there are other things that you can do apart from that. And then the courses you can take now to do that, because being a chartered secretary is at the level of let's say a master's degree. You don't do it at first degree. So you probably you do any course at all, and then you come back and start writing the exams. Before, they used to actually have instances where you could write the exams as an undergraduate or a secondary school, but they scrapped that. I don't know whether they will still bring it back, but you can do any course. I've seen people who read political science. Just means that the number of papers you write will now be more than the other people who probably read law or accounting. They give exemptions to people who read law and accounting. And then I think these are named, but theirs is not as much as law and accounting. So when you talk about maybe your subject combination, you should be more of a, let's say, social science student. If you have an idea that you're going to do something around finance, so you have an idea of economics, government,
English.
Yes, English is basic. Your math should not be too poor. And then, of course, things like do a lot of writing, do a lot of drafting, do a lot of talking around, documents and one-on-one. So your command of English should be quite good. What else? I think basically that is what that's.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Bukola, because to be very honest, I never knew as an accountant, one could be a company a chartered, is it chartered secretary or company secretary?
Yeah, so the profession is chartered secretary. The profession is chartered.
Okay.
But when you work in the organization, it's complicated.
Okay. Can you, so you're saying in essence, you didn't practice accounting much at all?
No. I did little or nothing with
Related
accounting.
accounting. But would you say accounting was your choice?
Oh yes, by choice. I wanted to study because okay. So when I was secondary school, I did both science and commercial.
Mm-hmm.
I did physics, chemistry, biology. I did accounts, geography, and economics. So my parents basically just encourage me to do that so that whichever way I could easily swing. But by the time I moved, I think I did to SS2 or so. I thought that I wasn't doing well in sciences per se. So of course, accounting was mine. And since I already had at least a good hang on the first subject for it, so I just went for it, and that was it.
Okay. So you've mentioned the subjects that our young ones can focus on. Can you say there are extracurricular activities you participated in that led you along this career path?
Not exactly.
You found yourself in it.
Myself, no. But of course, there are things that can help you, like the literary and debating society, like
The
press
society.
yes, like press club. Those kind of things will really help you because number one, you understand the concept of communication, being able to talk to people, project your voice, relate your capacity to present one, and then your ability to relate to people, because you'll be relating with a lot of people, especially people who are, especially as a company secretary, people who are higher in hierarchy than you. How to treat them with respect, because board members are usually people with ego. So you have to treat them with a lot of respect, how to massage their ego and all of that, to at least have the job properly executed. Because there are times when they don't want to listen to what you have to tell them, even when you are telling them that this is what the law says. They're telling you
the right thing to say.
Running my business. So things that I have to learn tax and things like that. So those are the things that will help you in the course of executing your job.
Wow. I really like the part you said that as a company secretary, you need to know how to relate with people. And I don't think there's any individual that doesn't need emotional intelligence, that doesn't need to learn emotional intelligence, because whatever we do, we have to learn how to relate with people, both on our level, above our level, and beneath our level. You already went far ahead of telling us the post-educational routes to this profession of yours. What are the challenges in your profession, madam?
Well, the challenges are every profession has its own challenge. So I see the challenges that are just normal everyday issues that everybody has. Okay, so part of the challenges is where your company is regulated. Have the regulatory authority. Sometimes it's not easy. You're trying to submit a report that has the deadline, or you're supposed to do something, you forget or you don't do it properly, you will get sanctions, you will be fined. That fine, and the fines are usually heavy, in millions of naira, And then there are some regulatory authorities that are not friendly. Some are friendly. They make your job almost seamless. They have staff who can support you on your job. There are others who are not so friendly. They just expect you to figure it out and get it done. And once you don't get it done, you are sanctioned. So of course, when the sanction comes on the company, the first person everybody goes for is company. Why didn't you make a submission? Why are we lagging behind? Why is this yet to be done? So those are part of the challenge. And sometimes to working with your colleagues, who are not in the core of what you are doing, they don't really understand what's going on. So they just feel that you're just trying to boss them around or feel more important than you really should be. So they feel that what is this and what are you doing? And then sometimes too, with the directors, you probably present your minutes and they cannot relate it to what they think they said, or sometimes they have forgotten what they said. And you write it and they go like, no, I didn't say this. I almost like we go and get the recording so that we can see,
hear yourself.
What you said and all of that. But you just have to take it in good side and apologize if you need to and tell them you will work better or
True.
what you need to do and move on with it.
Do you think that your temperament prepared you for this course, this job route, this job you have right now? Your temperament, do you think it prepared you for this?
I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure, but I think it works for all temperament. Just for you to know what you have, what to do and get it done. So rather than maybe majoring on temperament, I think it's getting to understand what you need to do. Can I do it? Can I settle down to write my minutes? Can I put myself in the position of the director and say, okay, the director said it like this. How do I present it that it does not sound like whether you don't want it to be harsh, you don't want it to be mild, you want it to be professionally written. So that's just what you need. So temperament, it works both ways. If you're an extrovert, it can work for you. If you're an introvert, it can work for you.
Make it work for you.
What you need to do.
Have we spoken about soft skills that you need for this profession of yours?
The soft skills you need, well, you need to be a critical thinker. You need to be somebody that can go beyond what is just trying to analyze. So analysis will also come into this. Can you analyze what is being said? Can you also interpret what is being said? And then you need to also be somebody who has good comportment. But sometimes some things can come to you unexpected, and then your reaction has to be matured. You must not show that you are whether surprised, whether you are angry. Of course, you can laugh. There's no, but of course, you don't turn it into a comedy show, But as much as possible, you need to be able to comport yourself. You should also be somebody who can relate. I think I mentioned that before. You should be somebody that can relate with people across board, whether they are older or higher than you in hierarchy, whether they are your colleagues or whether they are people who are below you, because you need to keep working across the board, different sects and categories of people. So those and then I think you also need to be strategic. You need to be strategic in your approach to things. There's some things you can't get straightforward. So, you have to be probably a little bit political about it. That sometimes you've gotten something from a director and you need to get it again. So I can tell the director, sorry, I lost it. So you just need to be strategic, in your approach to people to get your job done. So I think those are really soft skills.
So I don't, okay, like you said, it's not part of the, being a company secretary is not something that you see in our jam brochure, right? Yeah. So for, can you say you have a passion for this? Or is something that you just found yourself in and developed a passion for?
I think for me, it was more of the curiosity. I was just curious about it. I wanted to see what happened there. And I started to write the exams, and I passed, and I, got myself into a firm that practices what I wrote the exam for. And I think about 9 years down the line, I've been doing this, and it's fine, and I think it's even getting more interesting now. There are a lot of things that are coming on board with it. Of course, it means more work, but it also means it puts you at a pedestal where you know you are working, you know you are improving, you are seeing yourself, you're looking at yourself way back. This is where I used to be, this is where I am now, this is what I do. You're also looking at what you have become, you know, over the years, looking at how your career journey has been. So for me, I think that is basically what it is for me.
So for as a company secretary, it's not a gender-based, it's not a gender-specific career at all. Anyone, a man can do it, a woman can do it, right?
A man can do it, a woman can do it, but I think a lot of women are really pushing their, you know, their weight. When I wrote the exam, there were more women. A lot of women are pulling their weight, and I think there's room, you know, for a lot of women to pull and continue to pull their weight. Like MTN, their company secretary is a woman. So many other companies.
Okay.
So it's something that a woman can easily fit into. The only problem is because of the meetings, if you are so career focused, maybe I'm because there are some meetings that you, depending on also where you work, like I work with a firm, so we have clients, you know, companies that were company secretaries to. So it's not one company. So a company, there are times you have to go outside of Lagos for your meetings, you know, traveling and all of that. But if it's just one company, depending also on how, you know, big and how the operations of the company is, like the bank, you know, their meetings, meetings 8 hours, you know, so you may be someone who will find yourself coming home very late. So if you are so career focused, you may not be something, family focused rather. Of course, that's not to
discourage
say that family is not important, but some people cannot deal with the balance. I've like moved faster because number one, my children are a lot older, so there are so many things I can do now that I probably couldn't do when I started. But you know, so that's just what it is. If you work for a number of companies, the dynamics will be there. But if it's just one company too, the meeting times may sometimes not be convenient, or when you have deadlines and you just have to meet them. But a lot of women are putting their weight in companies.
Thank you very much, madam. So what I like the fact that both you and the previous lady we spoke with seem to agree on the fact that your cost does not matter. What matters is your passion and drive for it. Because to be very honest, until you mentioned your accounting background, I assumed everyone that is a company secretary read law. You understand? I mean, I just assumed, so I'm really happy that we have you here for our young ones to realize that you can be anything you want to be. You might not know what you want to be in the beginning, but along the line, you can discover yourself. And really, it's a beautiful thing to hear, because not a lot of people knew that. We all believe that once you're on one career path, you will do that career or you retire. So what advice, encouragement can you give to our young viewers, their parents and their caregivers, please? What word of encouragement can you give them, please?
Okay, so I want to say that basically, because of where we have come to generally in the world now, there are very few things you really cannot do, okay? Because outside of maybe medicine, maybe nursing, very few courses basically that you must have read them to first degree. Now the globalization, digitization, and secularization of so many things have made a lot of things a lot easier. You don't even probably need to be a degree holder, quote and unquote, because You know, when you look at the number of people writing JAM, the number of people that the public universities can take, you already know that like 80% of them will not be able to go in. And as the years go by, the students sets in. So I would like to say to the young ones that look at other things. What other things can you do? Even if you have to go to the polytechnic, I know a lot of people don't like to go to the polytechnic, but if you go to the polytechnic, you can still come back and take professional courses. And then it's true that Nigeria is a certificated environment, but it's also changing. You know, things like social media manager up to 5-7 years ago, it didn't exist. Content creator, graphics, this, you know, all those things are now available. And except abroad, I'm not sure there are still Nigerian universities that take those courses at, you know, the university level. So, I mean, these are things that even as a graduate can still come back to, you know, to come and do. And there are so many skills now that people can pick up, video, photography, you know, things like that, that were not there before. It's just to expand your horizon, you know, whatever you can, sellable skills you see around, as much as possible, try and develop it. You know, just like the other speaker said, Google is your friend. Don't just and be thinking and instead of watching comedy skits and how to make rituals or something, you know, there are more positive and more profitable, more rewarding things you can do with your data. So I think that's what we just, you know, look at. Even, you know, things like electronics, you know, there are videos you can watch, you can learn how to, you know, repair computers or write programs, coding, all these kind of things. I mean, these are not still things that most, so I mean, these are things that, so the sky is so wide, you know, the birds don't have to, like, that's the.
Thank you, Madam Ishola. It was really for me, I think I'm still in a state of shock that being a company secretary, a charter secretary, you don't need to have a background in law. I would have loved to do that, honestly, because for me, I enjoy writing, and a lot of people said you should have gone in for law, but if I had known that there was something like this line that you said, I mean, I think I'd have gone for it. So thank you very much. Do we have any questions? What do you say? What do you say, madam?
It's not too late.
It's true, it's not too late. As long as you're alive and you sure. I just might go in that direction. Let's see how it goes. Do you have any questions from anyone listening to us? We are ready to take questions. We're about to, our time is getting limited. So if there's any question, please hurry up and type it so that we can say it, Madam Bukola can deal with it for us, please. Any question? We're waiting. Oh. Okay, another one, it just occurred to me. Your kids, they find your job interesting enough to want to go into it?
Well, they help you one or two things, but it's not something really, they don't have any problem with it, quote unquote, but haven't shown particular interest. What I want to do.
So do you find it
sold them at any point? I'm not sold it to them at any point. It's just like if you want to, if you don't want to.
Okay.
But they have actually chosen their parts.
That's good. That's very good. And like we said, like the first speaker said, you can be anything. And you already told me that even I can decide that, oh, let me go in this direction. What matters is your passion, your drive, and how you're able to harness the resources around you to be able to achieve a fantastic path towards your career. You understand? And like we are saying now, make Google your friend. When you're reading, you're Googling stuff, and see, you have information at the tip of your fingers. Unlike earlier, unlike 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whereby you have to go to the library to get information, ask questions. And sometimes when you're asking questions, people make you feel stupid. But now that you have information at your tips, at your, it's like it's even closer to you than your shadow is. You can make research, ask questions, even get mentors. You know, that's one of the things I feel that as older ones, we should encourage these young ones to do. Seek out mentors in your desired career path. And yes, you can have more than one career path to go into, you understand? Like what I know that obtains abroad is that you can major. Okay. Oh, okay. Bukola just asked a question. Have you seen a question, madam?
Yes.
Yes.
So
she said that. Okay.
One would have to, even if you can pick any course, that you can study anything. Yeah, law is still your best bet. It's still a nice course. When you study law, it gives you an edge. It still distinguishes you from the rest of the pack. That does not mean others cannot. But being a lawyer really, really helps. And when I wrote my exams, for instance, like 80% of the class were lawyers. So
wow.
It's still a lawyer's course.
Oh, really? But an accountant is one.
Yes,
is one. So, and yeah, and even for people, okay, even for people that for some people that read that did professional courses in accounting, you have engineers, you know, you have other. I mean, it's what I wish a lot of us knew years ago, that you should not box yourself in a corner and say, oh, because I read accounting, I must do this. From your undergraduate studies, you can do other things apart from medicine and nursing, but anything medical related. But I think anything you do, you can always find yourself, you know, branching out later on. Do we have another question, please, so that we don't get locked off this Zoom meeting? Any more question? Let's give, maybe they're typing it or something. Let's see. Any more question, anyone? Okay. Okay. So, Mrs. Bukola Ishola, it was a pleasure on my part having you on this segment. I'm still in a state of shock. Okay. Bukola said, can we give a recap of the first speaker? Yes, the first speaker was Mrs. Ameze Osague-Iduh, and she's an HR professional. Her background was in law. She did law for her first degree, then did a master's in business relations, business related. And because of the passion she has for, she noticed that she has a passion, like she has like a mediator between organization and employees. So she was able to marry that passion by being an HR professional. So she says she's done CIPM. She has a certificate she's an associate member of this Chartered Institute of Personnel Management. And because she said as an HR person, you have to learn how to listen, to communicate, and also be able to jot things down. And she said that for her, it's a passion and something she knew from when she was young that she had to be, she's a people person, and it was something that maybe was like a natural progression for her to go from being a lawyer to an HR person. I'm sure you can get a replay of this, Bukola. Yes. Yes, you can get a replay of this because it's going to go up on our YouTube channel in a bit. Is that okay, Buki? Please let me know, signify by, okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for listening okay. Thank you, Buki. Thanks for asking questions. Thank you, everyone. Mrs. Ishola, any last words for every one of us?
Okay, well, I'll say thank you for having me around. It was good.
Pleasure.
Personally, it's not late. I said to you personally,
I didn't get that.
I said to you personally,
Okay.
it's not late. So you can still join us.
Uh-huh.
To receive you.
All right.
Young ones out there, I want to encourage you to make use of your youthful days. It goes a long way to become who you are in the future. So when you look at the Agbero on the road, yes, they said they brought MC Oloma for one event at Unilag and everybody was laughing. Is that the kind of thing you want to hand over, to your children? And this guy now has sent his own children to the US to go to school. So learn to shun vices, basically. Leave vices alone. Even the people profiting from vices, they are trying to secure their own future. Don't be the instruments they are going to use to secure their own future. Secure your own future. Yes, you may not be able to get to university immediately, but there are so many other things you can do. Yahoo is not one of them.
Thank you very much for this.
Maximum 5 years, something will happen and that will be the end. But there are other things you can do 40, 50 years down the line. There are even transgenerational businesses. Yahoo is not a transgenerational business, So look for things that are sustainable, things that you'll be happy to stand anywhere. Nobody's looking for you, police or drug law enforcement agency or whoever is not. You can stand wherever you are and say, this is who I am. So that kind of you should, be looking at and looking forward to come. Somebody who can stand on the world stage. As bad as you say the world is, UN has never invited any con man, to come and give a talk, or any country of the world. So these are things that can make you a global citizen, things that can put you on the global stage, not things that for your generations they are tracing the genealogy and everybody is canceling. No. So many things you can do with life. You can get mentors if your family probably is not encouraging you. There would always be people around you. Attach yourself, find religious, that can help you, or NGOs like Save
a Nation.
Save a Nation that can support you in your dreams. And of course, the sky is not your limit, it's your starting. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you very much. That was a beautiful ending to a fantastic session. I enjoyed myself. I'm sure we all did. Thank you very much. So our next class comes up. Our next program comes up tomorrow, 9 a.m. Please, everyone, try and drop in and listen to our wonderful speakers for tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Mrs. Ishola. Thank you.